So, and once again, going with the history, the beginning of the talkies, and so you got to see kind of the problematic technical issue of moving from silent film to talking film, and how the industry sort of had to deal with that in that transition from 1920 to 1930 when that took place. So you got the kind of example film in there, and how, of course, all the big movie producers were saying this is not a thing, it's a gimmick, and it's not going to go anywhere, which of course does not happen. Development of the movie. Somebody beat me to the punch in their Moodle post about the background on Donald O'Connor and how he used to smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day and got hospitalized from the Make 'em Laugh scene simply because of overexertion. And as you guys were noting, it had to be brutal on his body to do that. So that was going on there too. I'm going to stop for a second. Comments? Okay, amazing. Yes.
Actually, really quick.
Yes.
To go back to Don and Kathy's relationship, I found something kind of interesting about that. Towards the end, when they had the idea to expose that Kathy was the true voice,
Yeah.
Don was sticking up for Kathy, and he was like, he's okay to put his career on the line because he didn't care in the face of love.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he told Kathy to go on stage behind the curtain and sing, she was like, fine, but we're over because I care about my career. So she chose her career over him, and he chose love over her, which I think, especially during those time periods, wasn't really seen in male and female relationships that were.
Good. And that famous line, "Stop that girl," at the end. But he's gonna. All right. So the interesting thing about the history of this particular film is the movie was really cobbled together in a very quick way comparatively after the success of another big American movie musical, An American in Paris. So that won the Academy Award for Best Picture in '51. And so they thought, hey, this is making people money. Let's put another film together very quickly. So they cobbled together a whole bunch of not films, but songs and bits from previous films. What was happening here is there were supposedly 2 original songs, "Make 'em Laugh" and "Moses Supposes," but almost everything else was a song that had been in a different movie or on the stage before. The interesting thing is, even though they took credit for calling "Make 'em Laugh" an original song, it's really a direct ripoff of Cole Porter's "Be a Clown." So instead of "Make 'em Laugh, make 'em laugh," just replace "Be a Clown." There's a YouTube to that, and I'll make this slide available to you later, and you can see them singing that and see how similar those 2 songs are. But all the other songs, I know there's a lot listed on the big screen here, but they were all from different movie musicals from the past. And so you could see they come from Going Hollywood, they come from especially the Broadway Melody, and then the Broadway Melody of '36, a revision of a revision, and from Babes in Arms, and from San Francisco. So lots and lots of rehash here, but they really did a good job bringing all the different important musical songs together into this particular film. It was kind of the best of the best in many ways. And all the fancy dance scenes were reminiscent of what was going on before. We have the lovely "Moses Supposes," and one of the things I want to talk about, going all the way back to mise en scène and framing, and how the characters appear on this within the frame of each scene, is you can see how Don and Kelly make a lot of their frames really symmetrical. So you can see a lot of symmetry here with "Good Morning," and you're going to see it again and again. And that's going to be true for a lot of their song and dance numbers. Very, very symmetrical in many ways.
I read a thing about, if I could, the symmetry specifically in like the "Good Morning" scene.
Yes.
So one of the things was Debbie Reynolds was like 18 when the studio saw her and was like, you need to be in this film. Had never taken a dance lesson before.
Yes.
So you have Gene Kelly, who's Gene Kelly, and Donald O'Connor, who can keep up with Gene Kelly. Like Debbie Reynolds would talk about how, like, yeah, sure, the rule of three, and like, you know, it works with visually with the symmetry, but they would do specific things like put her on that stool right there and not have her dance because there were just parts of it that she just could not keep up with. So that was another trick with the symmetry to hide that.
Yes, yes, interesting. Yeah, she. I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but she started out a gymnast and not a dancer in all kinds of ways. So that wonderful Singing in the Rain dance routine. You should know that Kelly. It took 2 to 3 days to do all that filming for just that one scene, and of course, it was shot over and over again, and there was water falling upon him, so he got really sick, and he kind of troopered his way through it. He had a 103-degree fever.
This movie is not safe. Cosmo was hospitalized. Well, that was his fault for smoking, but like both of them got sick. I'm just saying.
Yeah, good point.
It makes me wonder about, like, I mean, like in the theater we have like the Actors Equity Association. Did they like not have something like that for film actors in the 1950s?
I don't know. I should know that, but off the top of my head, I would say even if they did, it was probably not very powerful or secure for them.
No, and I mean, like, Kelly was also one of the directors, so he probably was like, we're gonna get this right.
Yeah.
I also read that the water like made his wool suit shrink.
So the water also had milk mixed into it to get the look of the big, like, yeah.
It is.
Oh, you know, a lot of this stuff is sort of anecdotal, and I have read actually a couple of different articles that said that they actually did not do the milk thing, and then a couple more of it said it did. So it's interesting, the history of these films and the kind of rumors that swirl around them on how these particular scenes were made. So you guys did your scene analysis for me on Wednesday. You did a pretty good job in trying to figure out what was going on in each individual shot, but overall, did you notice any particular rhythms or patterns or repetitions between each shot? Who wants to speak to that?
I saw a consistent pattern of they would be going from a long shot, and then there would be a late zoom in that shot to either a medium shot or a close-up.
Yes.
And that would be a consistent pattern from shot to shot to shot. And also in the long shot, there would be a tracking shot with the crane, where in some cases it would have more of a crane effect and would actually go up to a higher angle. But other shots, it would just be more of a dolly tracking shot on the crane.
Okay, good. Great. Anybody else?
I noticed a lot of what Cole said. I think in my analysis, like it just kept saying, and cut back out because he's gonna dance and we need to see his body, which I felt like happened throughout the show or throughout the movie, just because it is so dance heavy and a lot of it is footwork that you want to be able to see.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you guys are seeing that, and especially you guys that do stage work, because one of the challenges of doing this, as you might imagine, is you want to show your actor with close-ups in order to get emotion on her or his face, but when you're doing dance scenes, you have to draw back and show within the frame what people would typically see on the stage. So you've got to pull back long enough to be able to see and appreciate the entire dance, and so that means the figure of the person has to be there, and their footwork and their movements and all of that. So that's the special challenge of filming dance in musicals like this. Kind of common sense if you hadn't thought about that. So Broadway Melody and Gotta Dance, that whole segment, what do you guys have to say about that and where it was inserted and how well it was working within the overall narrative of the film? Anybody?
I kind of wish I could like find, this is harsh, but I almost wish I could find a version of this movie with like that whole scene cut out.
Really?
Because it doesn't, yeah, like it didn't have anything to do, like, it just seemed
I agree.
so random and out of place. And it like, they don't really talk about it like after the scene. They're just like, okay, that's what it's gonna be. And then they like go back to something else.
Okay.
And like there's no lead up to it. So I thought it was really out of place. And then like, it's so long. I was watching it with my parents and we're like, this is a really long number and like we don't really get it.
Yeah. Okay.
And we were talking about it and my mom's like, this is totally just Gene Kelly's vanity project. Like he just wanted to
All right,
show off.
I think you're gonna have some defenders on that, but so I'm gonna shut up. But I have a response to that too. Who else on this particular set of scenes?
I thought that it was just a really cool scene and how it was shot. I thought the colors were just really cool, and especially like the time period of them wanting to show off like, yo, we can do movies in color and just having all of this. And I thought it was beautiful, but it just didn't really fit into the movie.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I wish it fit in like where there was its own plot of the dancer and Gene Kelly's character or whatever this is.
Okay.
Like I think it'd be like a really interesting like standalone film.
Yeah, when I was talking
Erin, go ahead.
Sorry, when I was talking to my mom about it, she was saying like she has this theory that like every good musical has a dream sequence in it. And this is kind of like his like dream sequence.
Yes. Okay.
So
good.
that's why I thought it was too long. If they cut it down, it would have been better.
They just needed to copy an American in Paris' scene.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good. Anybody else?
I also think that within like the actual movie that they were shooting, like from the scenes that we did see, this doesn't fit in at all.
All
like
right.
it's kind of weird because he's like, yeah, we have one more scene to shoot and it'll wrap up the